The sun rises over a stone castle. You wake in a drafty chamber, the smell of smoke and hay clinging to the air. Your body aches from yesterday's training. Sword drills, lance practice, hours in chainmail that rubbed your shoulders raw. The knight's life is often pictured as glorious, shining armor, noble quests, fair maidens, but the truth was much harder. The chivalric code, first described in the 12th century, demanded loyalty to God, to one's lord, and to the weak. Knights were supposed to protect widows, orphans, and the poor. At least that's what the poetry said. In reality, many knights lived like professional fighters, raiding villages, switching sides in wars, and sometimes caring more about pay than honor. Still, the ideal mattered. It gave structure to a chaotic world, and it forced knights to measure themselves against something greater. You rise, you pray, you eat stale bread, and you train until your arms tremble. Your life is not your own. It belongs to the code. Shift now across oceans to Japan. The year is 1500. You kneel on a tatami mat as dawn filters through rice paper walls. Your armor is lighter but no less symbolic. Lacquered plates tied with silk, designed as much for ceremony as for war. Your life follows Bushido, the way of the warrior. Its roots: loyalty, courage, discipline, and above all, honor. Unlike the knight, your greatest enemy is not hunger or mud. It is shame. Fail your lord, show cowardice in battle, or bring disgrace on your family. And there is one way to cleanse it: seppuku, ritual suicide. Historical fact: samurai carried short blades, tanto or wakizashi, specifically for this act. For them, dishonor was considered worse than death. Scholarly uncertainty. Historians still debate whether Bushido was truly a strict code during the Middle Ages, or if it was shaped later in the Edo period, polished into legend. But the expectation was real. The samurai lived constantly aware that failure could cost not just his life, but his family's reputation for generations. Two worlds, two codes. At first glance, they seem different. The knight swears to God and king, the samurai to lord and ancestors. One prays in a chapel, the other bows before a shrine. And yet, the mirror is clear. Both sacrifice freedom for duty. Both measure worth not by wealth but by loyalty. Both are trained to fight without hesitation, even against overwhelming odds. Think of it like modern life. The knight is the corporate soldier, bound to hierarchy and ritual. The samurai is the perfectionist athlete, carrying a nation's pride, terrified of failure. Different uniforms, same weight, perform, obey, endure. Here lies the truth. Honor was never about feeling noble. For knights, it meant sleepless nights on muddy campaigns, starving in the name of duty, and sometimes dying in forgotten skirmishes that no bard would ever sing about. For samurai, honor meant discipline so strict that one mistake could erase a lifetime of loyalty. Imagine living every day knowing that the wrong decision might end with your own blade in your stomach. Both codes demanded the same thing: sacrifice. To them, freedom wasn't doing what you wanted. Freedom was having the strength to do what you must. To understand them fully, you need to see their lives not just in battle, but in routine. A knight's diet: dark bread, salted meat, watered wine. A noble's feast might bring roasted boar and spiced pies, but most days it was plain fuel for endless training. A samurai's meal: rice, miso soup, pickled vegetables. Simple, disciplined, eaten in silence. A knight's leisure: tournaments, hunting, sometimes gambling or drunken revelry. A samurai's leisure, poetry, calligraphy, tea ceremonies. Practices that sharpened the mind as much as the blade. One drank from pewter mugs, the other from porcelain cups. But both knew that tomorrow could bring death and today had to be lived with discipline. So what do we learn from their codes? That discipline is not chains but armor. That fear of death disappears when life has purpose. That even across continents, humans create rules to shape chaos into meaning. And here's the twist. Neither knights nor samurai perfectly lived up to their ideals. Knights broke oaths. Samurai sometimes betrayed lords. But the point was not perfection, it was direction. A code gives you a compass even when the path is dark. You don't carry a sword. You don't kneel in a castle hall or a tatami room. But your life still demands a code. Call it your values. Call it your discipline. Call it your principles. Without it, you drift, pulled by every distraction, every temptation, every fear. With it, you stand, you endure, you matter. The knight teaches loyalty. Fight for something greater than yourself. The samurai teaches courage, face failure, even death without flinching. Together they remind you, you are more than appetite and impulse. You are what you choose to serve. So who had the harder path, the knight or the samurai? Perhaps the answer doesn't matter. Both show us that honor has a cost and discipline is never easy. But that's the very point. The worth of a life is measured not in ease but in struggle. Next time we step not into a castle or a dojo but into the dirt of the fields. What was the life of a medieval peasant really like? Walk with us, burn slow, iron and ashes,